Welcome back to GaleForceWins Season 2. Thank you to those that joined us in Season 1. We continue to explore the journeys of Canadians doing inspiring things.
The GaleForceWins podcast is proudly sponsored by Newfound Marketing, a digital marketing agency located in St. John's, Newfoundland. Newfound Marketing builds cost-effective digital marketing solutions to help organizations unlock their online growth potential. Newfound Marketing's team of experts works with their clients from start to finish to deliver solutions that convert. Visit our website at newfoundmarketing.ca to find out how we can help your business grow. Newfound Marketing, a complement to your marketing team.
Welcome to another edition of GaleForceWins right here in historic East End, St. John's, Newfoundland, at a beautiful location here. We're at the View Restaurant on Duckworth Street. It's unbelievable what we're looking at right now. Looking at right out through the narrows of St. John's Harbour. And if you've never been to St. John's, Newfoundland, you should probably put that on your bucket list. And if you've never been to the View Restaurant, I'd go there too. Food's excellent. The people are wonderful. We interviewed the owners today, and man, are they passionate about what they're doing. Real privilege to be here today. My name is Alan Dale, and with me, as always, is my good buddy Jerry Carew, who's from this part of the world. Jerry, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm overwhelmed, frankly, with the view, and just listening to the conversations that we've had. This young man here, I met on the golf course of all places when he was at the Board of Trade golf tournament, and you had one of the, a display on one of the tee boxes there, and I really enjoyed the banter. I said, man, he's an interesting guy, So reached out to you the other day because I know that creating a business is not easy, but doing it in a pandemic, and we'll hear about when he started just before Snowmageddon. Remember that, everybody? That was a thing. So anyway, I'm really excited to get into your story, Danny.
Yeah, 100%, Jerry. We have the great privilege to be in conversation with a lot of people that are inspiring other people to do great things, and really our job is just to allow a place to tell that story. So, Danny, without further ado, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Danny Fellingham. I own T-Box Indoor Golf. It is the largest and I think most visited indoor golf facility in Newfoundland. We have 5 indoor golf simulators. We have 40 plus different courses. Most of them are PGA rated. And I think it's one of the places in town where literally you can go for 2 hours, completely forget everything. And it's not just to do with what you're drinking, it's the experience itself. So for those people who can't travel, it's an easy way to get to some of the best courses in the world.
All right, Danny, before we get into all of that stuff, and I can't wait to dive into the technology you're using and all that kind of stuff with your company, tell us about you. Where are you from? How'd you grow up? All of that.
Yeah, so I was born in New Zealand and I grew up in Australia. So I say I'm Australian, just to make the long story short.
Isn't that a complicated relationship, New Zealand and Australia?
Same as US, Canada.
Okay.
And so for people who, when I say I'm Australian and they start the New Zealand jokes,
right.
I don't really fit in that category. Okay. So, I mean, it's hard to offend me in the first place, but that's an easy one to get sidelined by. I grew up in a place called the Sunshine Coast in Australia. You can probably tell by the tan that I've got going on that the beach wasn't really for me. The most I did on beaches was pretty much recovery sessions when I was trying to be a rugby player, which I failed at, but taught me a lot of lessons. So I grew up doing that. I enjoyed school to a point where if I was interested in it, I was good at it. Everything else I turned up. That was about it. My mum and dad, working class, but everything positive that I have as far as attitude and ability probably came from them. I saw them being hard workers and providing for us.
What did they do?
So my dad had a few careers. He was in real estate. He did wholesale stuff. They opened their own couple of businesses later on. They even opened a candy kind of store at one point. And unfortunately, I wasn't there to be able to take advantage of that, but probably a good thing in the long run. Mum helped out with the businesses, did a lot of stuff with us, and did cleaning, working in schools and all that kind of stuff. But both always busy, both usually had a smile on their face, both had a good attitude. So.
Right. And you say us, brothers, sisters?
Yeah, I have an older sister. She's a nurse now. Pretty good at what she does as well. Yeah, she's got a family as well. So.
She's back in Australia?
Yeah, so it was just me, moved here. I literally moved here for kind of something to do. And without disrespecting Canada, it was the easiest to get into. So all the options I had.
Here in particular, how did that come about?
I started in Vancouver, as most Australians do. I never went to Whistler, which most Australians end up at. I then moved to Edmonton because a friend in oil and gas said he could get me a job. So I cut and pasted a resume, got a job in oil and gas, worked my way up to a leadership role in the safety side, not the pipe fitting side that I said I could do, which I couldn't, still can't. And then I was between visas, I was between jobs, and I just finished a big project, and I said, where's the furthest I can go within Canada? Newfoundland came up. So I spent this big 6-week trip traveling the eastern provinces, driving along, did New Brunswick, PEI, Nova Scotia, all that. Spent my last couple of months, my last couple of weeks in Newfoundland. And then I met the missus, and my nice little easy life got turned upside down. And when you know, and here I am, married, happily. I hope she's happy too, but yeah, happily. And yeah, doing pretty good. So
okay, there's so much to unpack in all of that. Danny, that's a great story.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go by mom, dad, they sound great, right? Sister working, hell of a job back in Australia, a healthcare worker in these times must be complicated. You come from a good foundation, there's no doubt about it. I want to unpack the rugby a little bit. Tell me about that. Was that a big part of your life?
Yeah, so in high school, I thought that's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And again, like I think anyone who goes half decent when they're starting to, grow up a little bit, maybe has aspirations. I was a smaller guy trying to be a bigger guy. And on a local level, I could take that battle. When I went up a level, it was the guys who were better than me without trying, kind of put me in a position of maybe this isn't going to be the rest of my life. Still tried, but definitely was kind of, I don't know, there was a first life lesson there of like, I wasn't absolutely in love with the game enough to know that that's what I wanted to do, thick and thin, every challenge, every roadblock, every obstacle. It kind of put it in a position like, how hard do I want to fight for this? Do I absolutely love the game? And yeah, for me, it led me to other opportunities, which ended up being, again, what's the furthest thing I can do from this point? And I ended up working on cruise ships for a couple of years. I worked in the gyms, coming from a rugby background. We had to teach yoga and Pilates and spin classes and all that kind of jazz. I got to travel the world, went to places I didn't even know existed, met awesome people from around the world, just opened me up to all these different people, cultures, ways people communicate. So after living a life like that and then coming back home, that's kind of the point where it went, okay, so I'm back home now. I've just had all these experiences, and it was still at that point where I was like, there's still got to be more. So Canada came, as I said, easiest to get through. I didn't have a criminal record. I have enough money in my account. The paperwork's easy enough for me to fill out. I'm good to go. So
that's perfect. So you out Vancouver, of course, the Aussies find their way there for sure. Most go to Whistler, as you so rightly point out. But you embarked on a 6-week journey across the country. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so as I said, it was kind of this crossroads point. Like I'd been working on a project pretty much, it may as well have been 7 days a week, 12 days an hour, not 12 days an hour, 12 hours a day. It was literally put everything I could into it kind of thing until that project was finished. And at the end of it, I had the opportunity of going to another work site or taking some time off.
Right.
And it was the start of summer. I'd been working solid for probably 2 years. And it was just that point where I'm like, if I say no to some time off, I'm probably not going to do it until whenever it's hard to travel again. So yeah, again, I just set myself like, I like to every now and then kind of pick like, what's the furthest I can go? What's the weirdest way I can take this? Or what's a different angle I can take on? So I literally, not knowing much about the full Canadian spectrum, I guess,
right.
was like, where's the furthest I can go? And obviously Cape Spear, which you can probably, I don't know if you can see behind us.
Oh, you're close, yeah.
Not too far away, but that's what came up on the map.
Cape Spear's right by your right ear.
Right ear? No worries. I did appreciate too before when you were saying how good the view is, and you looked me directly in the eye, so I'll take that. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, it's like I hadn't seen it. I kind of wanted to experience it, and it was a solo trip by myself, just for the point of, again, I had this job. It was well paying. I had my own company, my own vehicle. I bought a house, and it still wasn't the job for me. Right. So this trip was more about decompressing, having a think about, and I did write a list of other things that I wanted to do. I did write a list of, other things I could do, whether it was moving back at home or trying a different job or literally just moving to another part of Canada. And little did I know, I kind of by the end of the trip, the decision kind of made itself, which is kind of standard for me, I guess. You put yourself in position and these things kind of reveal themselves at times. So,
right.
Yeah.
So you find your way to Newfoundland, furthest place you can go. You're sure, yeah. You get here. Did you fall in love with the place? I know you fell in love with somebody.
Yeah.
Did you fall in love with the place right away?
Postcard destination. Yeah, it's what you'd put on if you wanted to entice someone to be somewhere. Literally, there's so many angles of this kind of place that you happily show someone to show them what it's all about. I think anywhere is what you make it. And a good example is, been in Newfoundland, people talk about the weather. Newfoundland's got the greatest weather on the planet, depending who you talk to. Yeah. I'm from Australia, again, a beach town. If it's not board shorts weather, it's not a good day out. If it's a great 25 degree, no wind, the beach is awesome, people are okay with letting that day go because it's every day pretty much. Yeah. There's not a lot of days where it's that bad that you wouldn't want to go outside. Here, it's -10, it's only a little bit of wind, you don't know if it's going to rain or snow. Sweet, this is the greatest day on the planet, let's get out there, let's enjoy it, right? Mm-hmm. I remember one morning I was driving, this was in Calgary, and it was stupid degrees below Celsius, and I'm driving, I'm freezing in my car. I just went to get a coffee, and I'm seeing these little kids playing in the parking lot, in the playground at school, and they're wrapped up, and I'm like in my car freezing, thinking like, this is torture. Yeah. Like, these poor kids. They were having the greatest time in the world, and I was like, well, maybe it's me. Yeah. Maybe it's my attitude, not the kids. Yeah.
So, okay. Before we get into the love of your life, because I want to go there too, because you were pretty quick out of the gate with that. So I want to get into that. But when you got to Newfoundland, how did you articulate where you were to mom and dad? That must have been like trying to geographically place them, that you're at the edge of the world.
Well, they still sometimes call it Newfoundland, which they're trying to beat out of them. But yeah, as you do. You know what? I think I waited till the end of the trip to kind of give them a rundown rather than try and pinpoint exactly where I was. Yeah. I've become a lot better at contacting my parents in these kind of situations. Mm-hmm. But back in the day, I was probably a little more scarce at it. So I'd bundle everything up and kind of spend a bit more time. But, I think anyone I was talking about Newfoundland too, it was pretty easy to describe. Like, it's an awesome place. It's right on the edge. There's so many cool things here, and it's so naturally beautiful. Like, again, I think anywhere is what you make it, but here it's like it wasn't hard to appreciate what it was all about.
Right.
So.
And there's something special about the people here too, eh?
Yeah, very similar to Australians as well. Good thing we don't take ourselves too seriously. Mm-hmm. Most of Newfoundlanders don't, which is good too. We talk funny. Most of Newfoundlanders do as well. No offense, but yeah, when we go to different countries, people kind of have to figure it out. Same things, from my understanding, happens to Newfoundlanders. But yeah, a lot of cultural similarities in kind of where we, in what kind of attitude we have about ourselves and the way we operate. So
right. Okay, so you were quick out of the gate, said you met the love of your life. You knew, and you said, your words, not mine, you said, when you know, you know. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we met. I was blown away. I remember after hanging out with her, I kind of like went back to my where I was staying, which was downtown here. I went back to where I was staying. I was like, my God. And then I was like, it doesn't matter. She's probably a little out of my league anyway. It's probably too good to be true. I also live in Edmonton on the opposite side, which may as well be the planet at the time. So I'm like, very small chance, but I couldn't shake it. And lucky she also couldn't shake me. She ended up coming to hang out with me in Edmonton. I came back to hang out with her. We spent a Christmas together, and then it was just at the point where it was like, there's something going on here and we've got to give it a shot. And there's times where, I don't know, I say this to her, like, I had a nice little life in Edmonton, but it wasn't it. Yeah. And, no matter how much you try and force the point or those kind of things, it doesn't matter. Like, if there's something else that's going on that kind of, I don't know, takes you to a different level or puts you in a different place or gives you a different perspective, then yeah, you've got to figure it out. So that's what we did, and yeah, it worked out. Guess it was right. So
Is she from here?
yes. Grew up in CBS. Her parents are from different parts of Newfoundland as well. But yeah, she's got plenty of roots here. And I'm lucky enough now when people come into my business, every now and then someone will say, either you're Sarah Porter's husband or Daddy Porter's daughter's son or wife, or everyone seems to know someone. It's all in that kind of, you are related to X by me knowing this other person. So
You're growing up in Australia, just thinking about you, Danny, and then you fall in love with a girl here in Newfoundland, of all places.
Yeah.
You know? It's fun to be a Newfoundlander and listen to you describe the place.
Yeah, it
and
makes
I
you
think
feel
a
proud.
lot more Newfoundlanders should listen to you. Why get up in the morning and complain about the weather? You know, despite the fact, to be honest with you, I complained about the sun this morning, only because it was causing us problems for the podcast. But it's thank you for coming here. You're bringing some energy and a different perspective.
So I actually like to say that I'm one of the only people in Newfoundland who enjoys the bad weather, because for my business, the worse it is outside, the better the indoor golf seat is. So yeah, I can't complain with that. And again, Newfoundland has the best weather in the world, depending how you're looking at it. Good day, go outside. Bad day, come inside, play some indoor golf.
Yeah.
So that's a great segue into the next part of our conversation. And before I get into that exactly, I want to just finalize the conversation around Sarah, right?
Yep.
So Jerry and I are very fortunate. We have partners in our lives that allow us to try new things and try new business ideas. And we know that when we go home, we're either going to get some good solid advice or encouragement, or sometimes you're crazy, don't do this. But we know that we've got a rock. We know that we've got a good foundation at home, both of us, with my wife Janet and Jerry's wife Kelly. Sounds like Sarah is that person for you. Is that the foundation that you needed to get out and start your own business?
I'd say so, because I am, as I've kind of said, like, I'm more than happy to try something weird or different or whatever. She is very on point with, she's organised, she's honest, she is happy to be the sane shoulder to talk these ideas through with. And when I bring up certain things, and absolutely as she should, she's every now and then be like, well, I don't know about that one, but again, when we started getting into the T-Box stuff, it was because of a conversation I had with her that this idea even arose. So yes, she is the common sense. She's the one. I would scribble all over the page. She will put the right colours in between the lines. Right. So I think it's a good combination of how to have a good, successful person with you. Absolutely.
Perfect. So tell us about what you're doing in the moment. Tell us about T-Box.
So we've been very lucky. This is the first year that we've been able to operate all the way through what we call the indoor golf season. So that's October to April, May, or whatever it is that the courses are shut. As I said, it started all with a question of when I was here driving with Sarah, I said, what do you guys do in the winter? She was like, oh, there's not really a lot to do. And I kind of giggled. I'm like, okay. She's like, well, all right, smarty pants, what do you do? And in Edmonton, it was the first time I've ever even tried indoor golf. Mm-hmm. So again, me being from Australia, obviously more good days than bad.
Right.
Indoor golf really isn't a thing. At the moment now, it's starting to boom because people are realizing like you can get a game of golf in an hour. You can have a beer while you're doing it. It's easy to, it doesn't take half a day to do. Mm-hmm. You can go there in an hour, get all your stuff done, play actually the game you like, and go back home for dinner kind of thing after work. So we were talking about it in a drive, and I said, well, yeah, I used to play indoor golf in Edmonton. Is there anywhere like that here? And she said no. And we talked about what she did in summer before, and she said golf was a big scene here. So I kind of put two and two together of golf is big, and it shuts down for half the year, and there's nowhere for people to do it.
More than half the year.
More than half the year, yeah. So yeah, that conversation kind of rolled into, okay, well, I should probably look into this. I looked for all the businesses that have been here, similar to what I was thinking of. I reached out to a couple of people. I looked in every other Canadian city of about how many venues like this were there for what kind of population. how many simulators you need. There's always tons of resources, no matter where you look. If there's, if you want to try and find some information, and you're not scared to, look a little foolish, because I remember walking up to one place and I'm like, "Hi, my name's Danny. I live in Newfoundland. I'm originally from Australia. I'm not really a golfer, but I'm looking at starting a golf facility. Do you mind helping me with a few questions?"
Yeah.
Disarming way to get a conversation going. Great way to get some information.
Yeah.
But yeah, after it was all said and done, I think probably it was 18 months to the point where I'd looked into it. We got the business plan together. We got the financials. We made the projections, and we finally got some money to get it going. I don't come from a background of golf. 3/4 of the people who go into T-box can probably hit a ball better than I can. Mm-hmm. I don't come from a background of food. I haven't really worked in a restaurant type thing before, or a bar. I don't really come from a management of hospitality kind of background. So how am I not the perfect guy to start this, right? But yeah, it came about, and day one, I'm sitting there. We were supposed to open in November of 2019. We didn't get open till February, and again, that's our bread and butter season, that October to April. So
this is February 2020.
Yes, February 2020.
Something else happened then, but here we go on.
Yeah, so we had all these, we had a few delays. It took a little bit extra for us to get in line, and it was hurting every day because, we projected it to be able to start and have a full winter. So we then had probably 2/3 of it cut off before we even started. We opened at 2 o'clock on a Friday or whatever day it was, and not many people came in. And I'm like, I have this awesome new shiny thing, and there's hardly anyone here. And in my head, I'm just like, all right, Dan, maybe you've bitten off a little extra here. But only to realise, and because I had my head down trying to get this place open, that there was a generational storm on the way. Yeah. So not many people were thinking indoor golf might be a good idea to do today. Everyone was getting their snow shovels and all that ready. Everyone was probably across the road at Kent getting their supplies. We closed up a little early, and I'm scratching my head on the way home thinking, you know what, Dad, it's day one. Don't take it too bad. Don't take it too serious. There's plenty of opportunity here. And then I didn't see the place for another 8 days because Snowmageddon hit. So, we started getting a little momentum after that. People started hearing about us. People started using the facility. We got a little bit of momentum. And then 6 weeks later, start of the pandemic, shuts down. So instead of having 6 months of indoor golf season, we started with 6 weeks. A phenomenal summer, which was for outdoor golf, not indoor, because everyone had been cooped up. Yeah. One of the first things that people do.
Beautiful weather that summer too.
Yeah, thanks. Didn't need the reminder, but thanks. But so everyone's taken up outdoor golf. Everyone's been cooped up inside. So it's literally the opposite of what indoor golf would be all about. And then, the next year, again, we did pretty well. Started to get in flow. A few more people started talking about us. People started coming in. We started trying to get some leagues and stuff going. And then again, February hits, and this is our lead up to the golf season. This is when everyone who has the itch, who hasn't hit a ball for a while, wants to get a head start. Bang, shut down again. 6 weeks probably cost us close to 6 figures in revenue, if not more. Wow. And again, when you're still trying to reap in what you lost the year before, bitter blow.
Right.
But still saw the potential in the place. Did some upgrades, got an extra simulator. Whether that was a smart idea at the time or not, but it's paid off now. But we put ourselves in a position of like, when this business can run, it does a really good job. People love it. So we're now at the point now where we've been able to run and see what the business can do. And again, wouldn't change a thing. It's always been enough.
Sorry for interrupting you, but it's listening to you talk. You're in a significant, we can't even call it a downturn. You're in times where you just came through Snowmageddon. You're now into COVID, and in the middle of that, you expand. You bought another simulator. Like, kudos to you for taking on that extra. Maybe the people around you were saying, Danny, what are you doing? Or like, how did you come to the realization?
What'd Sarah say when you said, I'm going to
I'm getting another simulator. Yeah. We haven't had anyone in the door in a month or two.
Yeah. I don't know. Ignorance is probably the best thing to call it there. Again, when the place was going well, again, we were bottlenecking at the peak times.
Right.
And,
okay.
I think, when we saw what it could do, I think it made sense figuring that this isn't hopefully going to be forever.
Right.
And that when it could finally operate in the way it was meant to, it could sustain that.
Yeah.
And we did it at the start of summer so we could make sure everything was ready for winter because, again, we didn't want to be in that same position where we were still trying to build something and make something happen when we got into the busy season because it would cost even more in what we weren't able to generate.
Right.
So, yeah, getting organised and getting ahead of that time. Again, we still had a bit of a slow summer. And again, that's kind of kicked off another creative side of like in that summer, what can we do? And we've got a few things kind of lined up. Which again, capitalising on things that aren't being done at the moment in Newfoundland with golf.
So what is that? So that's over the horizon. What does that look like?
So for us, we're getting into pre-used golf clubs at the moment. So Golf Town used to be a big thing here, and they bailed. What's Golf Town doing to you? It's disrespecting Newfoundland. Yeah. Don't worry, I'm back. I'll get this sorted out for you. So pre-used golf clubs. You go on Facebook. You can go on Kijiji. There's still a friction point with that trade-off. Some people don't like doing that kind of shopping. Some people, again, even with everything going on pandemic-wise, still don't want to have that kind of interaction. Some people just don't trust it. Mm-hmm. You can get new clubs from people who fit clubs, from pro shops. There's a gap there between if people want to have a try out their pre-used clubs or try out second-hand clubs, get them at a decent price for people who don't want to like buy those brand spanking new ones.
Right.
They want to buy good second-hand ones, want to try them out first and not have the, I don't know, I guess that, that friction point of either having to do it off Kijiji or doing it sight unseen if they're buying it off the internet. Golf Town, when it was here, was very popular for that. You could try clubs out, you could get some information about them, and it's just more of a frictionless experience.
Right.
So for us, we kind of want to get into that point where, if people, they can't do that at the moment. They can't try out a club in a simulator, which gives you like world-class data.
Right.
So you can figure out like if that is what you're doing or if that is what you need. If it's going to make things better or worse, you can compare it to your clubs that you've already got. There's no pressure. You want to try it out and then not buy it, so be it.
Right.
We want to be able to facilitate that experience that's missing at the moment, which no one else is doing. So,
Danny, tell me about the T-Box experience. You walk in there. What is that experience like?
So I'll do you one better. I'll tell you what the walk out experience is.
Okay.
So this actually happened 2 days ago. I was walking just about in the building and I saw someone coming out. So I took a step back. The guy opened up the door. He said, "Hi, Danny." And his son walked out, and son was probably 12 or 13 years old. And he went to his dad and he said, "That was awesome." And I'm like, if someone's walking out of the building, they know who you are and their kids just said, "How good was that?"
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's sums up the experience to a point.
Right.
But I mean, from the inside out, when you come in, basically the simulators themselves, they're high-end commercial quality. You've got 40 plus different courses. You can play Pebble Beach, you can play St Andrews, you can play Cabot Links if you want to stay local. Unfortunately, the rights to Pippi Park are a little expensive, so we can't get them. No, I'm just joking. There are, sorry to anyone who plays at Pippi Park there. It's a good course.
Except for a windy day.
Yeah, except for windy day.
Which is frequent.
Yeah. But yeah, the data you get on the shot, so when you take a shot, you get a snapshot of exactly what's going on. So me not being a huge golfer, it's helped my learning curve tremendously. And we've got close to 90 people in our league this year. Last year it was closer to 30 who are getting involved in it as well. Because you get that feedback, you get to keep your swing going, you get to play on world-class courses. It takes an hour for a person to play 18 holes. So, and you can have a beer and some wings if you want to while you're doing it. So it's a nice way to do it.
Point though, because I mean, I golf and the time on the course is one thing. Going there to putt beforehand, if you go an hour beforehand and then have a beer with your buddies after, you're talking about a 7-hour experience.
It's commitment.
No time for that.
Commitment.
Right. Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
So I like what you're providing. You're right. Giving it in a little shorter time span, and those simulators have really come a long way. I played on one 20 years ago. It was not what you have there now.
Yeah, we pride ourselves on trying to make sure, like we make sure that the projectors are as good as they could be. We make sure that the little things are trying to kept up, that the screens look good. And if people have issues with, it's technology every now and then. And again, a story about how I got that stuff. So we had a we had some lower end simulators kind of looked at because, again, to start, I only had a limited budget.
Right.
So one of the manufacturers said, before you do anything, you should try a few of these different ones out. So I tried one, as I said, set in Edmonton. It was good. That was a top end. It was close to $70,000 to get one brand new one. Not in my price range, but I took a trip in Ontario to literally every golf bar and every simulator manufacturer I could. So that was my education, I guess. Right. And again, that's where I came up with the conversation starter. Hi, I'm not from here. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to be doing this thing similar to you. You seem like you've started it, so help me bridge that gap. Again, good way to start a conversation. But after doing all those things, I learned a lot, and I got to play all of these different types of simulators. And luckily enough, this Facebook group I joined early on when I was getting this going, someone said they had 3 second-hand high-end simulators in Ontario. They just put up. And again, I hadn't been to Ontario in God knows how long. Again, right place, right time. I said, buddy, give me one day, I'll be there. Like I'll make it happen. Just let me have a look. Like I'll give you a deposit if you want. Yeah. And yeah, I haven't seen basically that replicated since I started.
Right.
So I was at the right time, right place, and it got us in a position where we could buy higher end stuff at a better rate than what it would have been for the lower end stuff at
It's interesting though, listening to that. You know, some might say, oh, Danny, we're lucky. But really, you've done a lot of preparation and you were looking, so you did a lot of the work to find those. And yes, they came available at that time, but the preparation prior to opened it up to your the accessibility to them, I guess, right?
Yeah, you got to put yourself in position to do it because, I mean, yeah, like I could have still been on the couch thinking, I wonder if this is a good idea or not. But yeah, of all the things and projections and money I had available and, you know, trying these different things out, like, yeah, without having all that together, like, yeah, there's no chance I would have been able to get these. And who knows, it could be a different business because of the different equipment we have, but we were lucky enough to secure some really good stuff, so.
Danny, this sounds like an amazing journey. You're certainly not afraid to try things, and what I really enjoy about the conversation is that you don't seem, if you're not content with something, you're willing to make that change. Even no matter how comfortable it might be, you're willing to make the change because you know there's something different or something better over the horizon. And that's pretty admirable stuff. There's no doubt about it. And so we often ask our guests to leave the audience with a piece of advice. You've had a great journey, and we're certainly lucky to have you here in Newfoundland. So tell us what a piece of advice might be.
Don't be afraid to give something a shot, I would say. Yeah, as I said, like I have no right starting the business I did from background-wise, but yeah, I was always looking for ideas. I always knew I wanted to try to see if I could make something work, succeed or fail. And I didn't want to ever have an excuse of like, well, it didn't work because, you know, this outside thing that I couldn't control happened. If that happens, so be it. But if you put yourself in position to try something and, you know, there's 1,000 resources for 1,000 different things. Everyone's got the things that they're into. For me, it was about finding a business that fit. And without putting myself in position to be able to like take advantage of these things, like I just gave it a shot. I had to take the leap. When you take the leap, you've either got to figure it out or you hit the ground. So when all this kind of stuff happened, it's a very good incentive to not fail where you've got a lot on the line. Yeah. But if you don't have a lot on the line, again, how hard are you going to fight to make it work? So you got to put yourself in position to figure out, I guess, what you can do. So.
It's interesting, and I've explored this a little bit with some others, but that kind of, you know, how dark was the place when Snowmageddon hits and then the pandemic hits? Like, what kept you from going down a rabbit hole that you could never get out of? You know, mostly, I guess, from your thoughts. Like, how do you keep going?
Pure ignorance. Pure ignorance. I mean, there's all these things happening, and, you know, whether you like it or not, it's happening. So you've got the option of letting it get to you or try and figure out what to do. That's it. Like, yeah, the world, like, it was pretty tough. Well, I had to put we had to put my wedding back a couple of times. My parents couldn't come when they were supposed to, you know, and after Snowmageddon and the late start and then that, and like looking at the bank account, yeah, I mean, it could have very easily been seeing all these things are going to swallow me up, or how do I make this work? And I think just the ignorance of like these things I can't control. So of all the things I've got to worry about, why make that the center of the way I do things? So yeah, just trying to keep a good attitude. Like I still enjoy doing what I do. I've had some great people helping me out, but I think at the end of the day, yeah, just giving it a shot, and it is what it is. Like approach it with the right attitude. So.
Amazing, isn't it, Alan?
Oh, that's unbelievable. So did the wedding happen?
Yes.
Did everybody make it up?
My parents didn't, and they made it through an iPad.
Right.
Still bawled my eyes out when I saw them there, and but again, my wife did an amazing job while I was trying to do the business stuff. She pretty much did everything, and like I owe a lot to her with doing that. I'll forever be trying to make sure that she knows how much I appreciate that, and trying to give her the life that she deserves, because she was helping put me in this position. So
wow. So we often ask now, often, it started recently, but we ask our guests now to help us inspire the next generation coming up, and we do that through a simple question, and that is, you're not far off this, sadly. You're not far off this number, but what would you tell your 20-year-old self right now?
I would say that the most important person you should listen to is yourself. There are going to be other people around you who have different ideas of the way things should be done, of where it even comes to, what you study, how you dress, whatever. You being your authentic self is going to get you further in life than anywhere. In 10 years' time, like compared to 10 years ago, I don't even know if I knew what Newfoundland was, to be honest with you. No offense, Newfoundland, I apologise. But again, none of what I've done has, like, on paper made sense. I don't think anyone was thinking, hey, if you move from oil and gas all the way over to Newfoundland with not much going on, then hey, that's a great idea. Give up everything you've done, go here for a girl you met. Yeah. But yeah, I listened to what I thought was best, and I made decisions on what I thought would be best for my authentic, self. All of these things wouldn't have happened if I didn't give things a go, because I thought in my head that they would be the way to go. So I think, if I was talking to my 20-year-old self, or 20 years ago, or whatever you want to call it, I just say to, make sure that like you're doing the things that you want, because your whole environment can change, your whole life can change if you put yourself in these positions, and it won't happen if you let things inside your head and the way you think and the way you want to do things. It won't happen if you let all of that create out what you really think and feel. So,
Danny, how does it feel to have created a business? T-Box Indoor Golf is well known right now. Not as well known as I'm sure you would like.
Yeah.
How does it feel to have created something from nothing, frankly?
My wife gets angry with me. Well, not angry, but my wife tells me I shouldn't just say this, but like, I'm just happy to be survived after all this. Like, of all these things that could have happened, and then like I'm here and like the business is doing well. Like, I'm more pumped about that than like opening it and doing that kind of thing. It's given me a ton of confidence in, different things I can try and do. And like, if I, again, when my head goes off in these all different directions, like, well, I could do this now, because in my head, like, I've done something similar. I'm proud of the fact that it's worked out, and all the lessons that have been learned, and relationships I've formed, and the way that people interact with the business. Like, I enjoy going to work, and I think that's probably one of the best things. Is like, I could be in a completely different place doing something different that may have other advantages, but it wouldn't be me. And I feel like doing what I'm doing now is just like an extension of the attitude that brings bringing a business together. So I'm pumped that we're doing what we're doing. So,
Jerry, your thoughts?
Well, I really, really appreciate the answer to that question, because confidence. You've obviously, had the confidence to start in the first place. But what I really like what you said there is that you've actually gotten confidence, the fact that you just survived. I don't know if anyone's really thrived in the pandemic, but you've survived. And I'm so excited for you, Danny, to see where you're going to take this, because having been through the shit we've all been through, and the optimism that I think is out there will take you to a whole other level. So I really appreciate you being here today.
No worries.
Well, another wonderful edition of GaleForceWins, and what a privilege it was to be in conversation with Danny here today. I'm happy that some big Australian guy took him down on the rugby pitch and straightened him out and put him on a path towards this place. I'm sure happy that Sarah met him and kept him in this place, because I think what he's offering to this community is something very special. And I'm not just talking about golf simulators here. I'm talking about an experience. When a young person comes out of the door, looks up at mom or dad and says, "That was awesome. Enough said." Clearly, you're making an impact, and that's a wonderful thing. Danny, we're privileged to have you living in this province in this time. I hope you make a wonderful career out of tee box golf, and what an amazing thing it is to offer the province of Newfoundland. I always leave the podcast with my own piece of advice. Quite frankly, the world needs more Danny Fellingham.
Nailed it. Yeah. Yeah, they do. I didn't know we could swear on this.
Cheers,
do whatever you want.
That was great.
Thanks again, Dave.
No worries. Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to GaleForceWins. That's GaleForceWins, WINS.com.